Dungeons & Dragons has a multitude of different magical items with a wide range of varying effects. These items are then broken down into their presumed power based upon their rarity. Generally speaking, these rarities do a very good job of kind of separating good items from amazing broken items. However, similar to the challenge rating system, it sometimes can be a little bit skewed depending upon the item that it's labeling and the imagination of the user. Just due to the nature of magical items, it can be very difficult to accurately label them because normally the more imaginative the player, the more powerful the item is. But some of these items are absolutely banana bonkers crazy, and that's the purpose of today's video. So, with that clearly defined, let's go ahead and jump on into the first item. This one is a fun little item called the Rod of Absorption. While holding this rod, you can use your reaction to effectively absorb a spell's effect. Sounds pretty tame, but there's a lot more mumbo-jumbo words in there. This rod only works on spells that are specifically targeting you, meaning that no, you can't absorb a fireball or an AoE spell. This rod also only stores up to 50 levels worth of spell slots. But that is still incredibly powerful for a couple of reasons. Allow me to explain. Angry Necromancer cast Blight on you? Nope, Rod of Absorption. Evil Lich gonna point his creepy little finger at you and cast Finger of Death? I don't think so. I got a Rod of Absorption. Fucking Vecna comes up and casts Power Word Kill on specifically you? Sucks to suck, Vecna. I got a Rod of Absorption. As long as you have a reaction and there's enough room left in the rod to actually absorb that level spell, you can effectively negate anything. But that is only half the item. If a spellcaster uses this rod, they can effectively cast any spell from their spell list or available spell list for that day up to 5th level spells using the rod as a focus. Meaning that you can effectively double your spell slots available. Think about this for a second. Let's say you cast a spell. A powerful spell, like your strongest spell, the highest spell slot you have available. You cast that. For the sake of the example, let's use a 7th level fireball. Great, so you're casting your ace in the hole, and then some stupid little fuckboy comes up and says the one word you don't want to hear. That one word that scares even warlocks and makes baby wizards shit their pants. Just imagine for a second. Shall end this once and for all with my most powerful counterspell. Yeah, that would suck. But with your own wonderful and amazing Rod of Absorption, you can be your own anti-counterspell. As long as you have charges in it and you have a reaction, you should be good. And this is 1000% game breaking because honestly, it takes the ending of that last scene from this to ending like this. I shall end this once and for all with my most powerful counterspell. Counterspell this, bitch! Yeah. Now, some might argue that might not necessarily technically work, but nowhere in the rules of reactions does it state that it has to be on someone else's turn. So, there you go. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to number 2. This one is actually an item that I have given my players in our livestream campaign, and that would be the Cloak of Invisibility. Now, this cloak is much more powerful than you might initially think because it is so much more than just simple invisibility. In fact, in reality, this cloak should be called the Cloak of Greater Invisibility because essentially it's mimicking the greater version of that spell. While wearing this cloak, you can use an action to put the hood over your head and become invisible. While wearing your cloak, you're invisible. Period. That's it. Aside from a maximum duration of up to 2 hours, there's no limitations on this. The reason that is so game-breaking is because of how it functions. Now, the invisibility spell is a concentration spell that lasts up to an hour. However, the invisibility ends if you do anything aggressive or cast a spell, making it significantly less useful in combat situations. Greater invisibility, on the other hand, nerfs the duration to 1 minute, but allows you to take actions that are aggressive or cast spells. The greater variant lasts a fraction of the time, but is much more suited for combat due to the nature of how it works. Now, why is this important for the cloak? Well, the cloak specifically states that you become invisible and makes no mention of the spell, meaning this cloak simply grants you the invisible condition. Do you see where I'm going with this? While wearing this cloak, you effectively gain the benefits of greater invisibility indefinitely, and it doesn't require concentration. This is actually so powerful, but if you're still not convinced, let me explain. The invisible condition makes it impossible to see you or know you are there unless they are using magic to detect you. Any attack against you has a disadvantage, and any attack that you make has advantage. That's right, this cloak effectively grants you permanent advantage on all attacks and permanent disadvantage on any attacks against you. And that's assuming they know where you were, because if you moved, they're never gonna guess. I actually learned this lesson the hard way, but if you're interested in watching that, you can go check out our Livestream campaign. I put the playlist link in the description box below. So yeah, if you're a DM and you're thinking about giving this to your players, make sure you think really hard about it, or maybe at least try to rein in the power a bit before you do it. And if you're a player that has this item, congratulations on taking over your campaign. You're the DM now. For number 3, we actually have a new item that just got released with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and that would be, I think, the Potion of Dragon's Majesty. I forgot the name there for a second. Long story short, this potion turns you into a goddamn fully grown adult dragon for an hour. The only restrictions to this is that 1, you don't get their legendary actions, 2, you don't get their layer actions, and 3, you can't use their change shape ability. Aside from that though, you're a full adult dragon. Now, for those of you unaware, an adult dragon CR rating ranges from CR 11 all the way up to CR 17. And yes, that is a huge rating, but even the lowest CR 11 dragon is incredibly powerful. It has a breath weapon that deals 6d10 damage, as well as a 3-strike multi-attack and frightening effect that deals up to 3d10 plus 2d6 plus 15 damage. If you're interested in the details of that breath weapon, it would essentially be 30 damage to all creatures in 60-foot cone, assuming they failed their DC 16 wisdom save and they are frightened of you. As for the multi-attack, assuming each strike hits, it's an average of 36 damage total. And that is technically the weakest dragon type you could get. If you get a stronger dragon type, you could effectively double your damage output in one turn. So yeah, it's a bit on the strong side. This is a really cool item, and one item that I am positive has been being asked about since the dawn of Dungeons & Dragons' existence. It does attempt to balance this out since it is a legendary item and it only lasts an hour. However, there's only so much you can do to balance something like this. The reason I think this took so long to implement is just because of the balancing nightmare that had to go into creating it. It seems that they finally broke down and stopped caring about game-breaking balance, but honestly, you don't care about balance, you care about game-breaking magic items, so let's move on. Next, we have another item that was added into the game with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and that would be the Flail of Tiamat. If you don't know who Tiamat is, she's the goddess of all evil chromatic dragons, who also happens to have 5 heads of different chromatic colors, each with their own breath weapon. She's a pretty big deal, and she is pretty goddamn dangerous. So you might imagine a weapon named after her might be a little bit dangerous too. Well, you're right. The flail is made in her image with 5 jagged heads, each with a different color representing a different chromatic color. You gain +3 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon, and you deal an extra 5d4 damage of any one damage type of one of the color of dragons, being either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage. But that's not the crazy part of this item. The crazy part is that once per day, you can use an action to cause the heads to breathe a multicolored flame in a 90-foot cone and deal 14d6 damage of your choice. Now, it does require a DC 18 dex save or you take half as much, but to put that into perspective, that is still a 9th level fireball worth of damage. And since it has a 90-foot cone, it is effectively 2 times, or actually more than 2 times larger than an average fireball. If you don't think that's broken, I don't know what to say. Now, you probably only get this item at very high levels, which might make it a little bit more balanced, but even still, getting a free 9th level fireball is pretty goddamn bananas when you get it every day for free. But yeah, that's the Flail of Tiamat. Let's go ahead and move on to the 5th and final item for today. This item has significantly less cool factor than the last 2 items, however, it is still incredibly game-breaking. And that would be the Amulet of Planes. While attuned to this item, you can use your action to name a location you're familiar with on another plane of existence and cast the 7th level spell Plane Shift. That is, as long as you succeed on a DC 15 intelligence check, and let's hope you do, because if you fail, then you might end up in a very different place. If you fail, you get to roll a D100, and I know it's cool and exciting because players don't normally get to roll D100s, but it's not that good, because if you roll a 1 to 60, you essentially teleport to a random location on the plane you are attempting to go to. However, if you roll a 61 to 100, you teleport to a random plane of existence. Now, in case you don't know about Planes of Existence, let me elaborate a little bit. This, up on the screen, is one of the theories of D&D's Planes of Existence. There are the inner planes that hosts the material plane where most D&D campaigns take place, that also houses the Feywild, the Shadowfell, and the Elemental Planes. I know the Feywild might not sound spooky and dangerous, but it is arguably just as bad as the Shadowfell. And I mean, come on, it's called the Shadowfell, so it's probably spooky and dangerous. Which it is. I don't know why I said probably. It is. After that, we also have something called the Outer Planes, which is broken up into the upper and lower planes, also known as positive and negative. Many of these are very, very dangerous and very, very scary. And I'm not talking like Blue's Clues Halloween scary, okay? No. I'm talking like Luigi's Mansion or like Spooky Scary Skeletons level of scary. A lot of spooks. And now that I've successfully given you nightmares, let me just give you a little bit more information. All demons come from the place called the Abyss, this one right here. And all fiends, devils, stuff like that come from the place called the Nine Hells, over there. Yes, D&D actually has hell. Well, I mean, I guess technically has 9 of them. So let's just hope you make that intelligence check so you don't end up somewhere you don't want to be. It sure would be unlucky to wind up in the Abyss surrounded by an infinite number of demons, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And that's it. That's all I got for you today, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, I have made other videos like this in the past, and if you're interested in them, you can go ahead and check those out down in the description box below. Also, I would love to hear your feedback or other cool magic items that you've got to experience in your campaigns. Please put those down in the comment section below. I always read the comments and almost always reply to them, and who knows, I might even use it in the next video. But with that out of the way, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all on Friday.